interesting than just listening to a lecture. So that's going on. So the ideas what I want to say today is how to develop a good speech. And you may find a paper to sound. And you are going to have a lot of chance to practice with your teammate. So there are 5 basic elements here, and I call them stories, script, practice, body language, and stage interaction. So the story is that the structure, the basic structure inside your speech. And the script is how to turn your idea, your basic story into the real form of script. And maybe write down on the paper, maybe directly inside your laptop, or even inside your brain. But you got to have a kind of script, no matter it is outline form or verbatim form. And then you will have some time to practice. Practice makes perfect. It's all we know. But how to practice is another thing we are going to learn. And also, when you are going on the stage, how to doing the body language. And the body language will, some body language will actually offend people, such as you and you and you are going to die. And this kind of body language is quite offensive. And also, if you just say, oh, okay, let's invite blah, blah, blah going on the stage, then it is a much polite body language. So body language matters. And eventually, body language is just like playing a drama on the stage. How to interact with people is actually the most important part. So when you interact with people, you can just use your eye, go through everybody's eyes with eye contact with everybody, or even talk to them and ask them up on the stage or something like that. So we will go through all these 5 parts, and before here, we will get another practice. Before there. Okay. So first is story part. Story is the structure, the fundamental structure of your story. And there are 2 most important things inside a story. First is audience, and another is contents. Audience matters is because they are the targets that you are going to convey your story. So if you are talking to, I think you must know that when you are talking to old people and an old person or young person, the word choice must be different. So here I list some of the most important details you need to consider about. First is general or professional. It is important because when you are doing a report inside your department, such as I major in finance and life science, biology. And when I'm doing the seminar, I actually don't use the general introduction because they already have the same profession as me. So I will use the professional terms instead of general terms. I will say genes instead of the genetic code, etc. And also, you need to notice that your audience is open-minded or conservative. If they are conservative, then the word choice, it has to be very careful. And also, they are visual thinking or literary thinking. What does that mean? When you are serving as a company's employee and the boss, when you are trying to convey the PowerPoint presentation to your boss, and sometimes they care more about the words you write down on the slide instead of the concepts. So actually, you don't have much room to present your ideas in pictures. But although we know we all like pictures, but sometimes old-fashioned guys don't like pictures. They just want the detailed descriptions. And also, the audience are active or passive. Active, so you guys are relatively like a passive audience, which means that you actually don't say anything when I'm doing my lectures. But you know that the classmates inside the kindergarten, they are pretty active. So when I'm talking, they are also talking too. So when you're going to the elementary school project, you will see how active they are, and actually they are, when you're talking, they are also talking, so how to control the situation is quite important. And also about the contents, you need to notice that it is a lecture, reporting, or sharing. If it is a sharing, then you need to touch the audience hearts, and reporting, the information matters, and the lecture, the structure matters. So there are different emphases on that. And also, it is an informative or persuasive lecture. We are trying to lead to a conclusion, or we are just going to open and discuss. Or it is a conceptual lecture, a conceptual speech, or we are going to every detail. So this is all the things we are going to consider about. Sometimes we will consider these factors as very intuitive, but actually it doesn't. So here we are going to have a video. So you can see what if you actually consider a wrong content with a wrong audience, then how will it happen?
パパ、お話聞かせて。
なんだ読めないのか。しょうがないな。桃太郎、昔々あるところに老夫婦が暮らしていた。おじいさんは芝刈りを、おばあさんは洗濯をライフワークとしていた。ある日、おばあさんは川で洗濯をしていると、大きな桃が流れてきた。で、さあ、桃を割っていると、中から可愛い男の子が生まれてきたので、桃太郎はちゃんと名付けた。やがて、たくましく成長した桃太郎は、この子を決してるようなしたわけだね。さあ、テスト論から言おう。桃太郎は勝った。では、なぜ勝ったのか。きびだんごというインセンティブが働き、仲間の士気を高めることで成功したからだね。さあ、これも言っちゃうから、これがきびだんごのレシピだ。以上、何か質問は？
So you see, how do you feel about this? So wrong content, wrong audience, and total disaster. Okay. So this is why you need to care about. So actually, inside NTU Toastmasters meeting, the audience is quite supportive, and they won't challenge you. They will embrace any idea you are going to say. So feel comfortable to convey your ideas. But that is not always the same situation when you are going outside. When you are going outside, another stage, another situation, maybe the most important thing is trying to deal with the questions from the audience. They will ask you A, ask you B, and ask anything inside or outside your speech. At that time, maybe it is a quite competitive situation, and they won't be the same. So watch out the content and the audience. This is the basically story part. And there's a book called Made to Speak. This book told us actually there are 6 elements of a successful speech. So it is called 6 elements of SUCCESS. So there are actually 6 elements of very great stories. What are they? They are first, simplicity, and the second, unexpectedness, third, concreteness, and the credibility, emotional, and eventually the stories. So these are the 6 fundamental great stories elements, and I recommend you can buy that book. And it is written by me, so actually I can recommend it. So you can actually buy that book to see all the every details. But remember that it's hard to, I can give out one examples for every principles, but actually you can use them in another way. You can use them as an examination of your story. If your story is attractive or make the audience get involved, then you can use all these 6 elements to examine whether your story is good or not. For example, there is a famous commencement speech delivered by Steve Jobs. Is anyone here listened to that speech before? The Stay Hungry, Stay Foolish speech. Okay. So this speech, if you didn't, you can go back because that speech has 15 minutes, so I won't play it here. And you can see it got simplicity. It only got 15 minutes and 3 stories and unexpectedness. He told about the failure and the cancer. It is the first time he told about his cancer. And the concreteness and the credibility and emotions and the stories. These 4 basically comes from he actually shared his story instead of doing some moral lessons. So when you remember that your principals inside your high schools, they always give you the moral lesson to ask you to be punctual, be on time, and dress You dress your uniform pretty tidy, and etc. And all this is something that audience don't want to hear. They want to hear stories. They want to learn from stories because this is something that we will actually meet every day. So it's hard for us to apply every principles inside your story, but once you finish your story, you can use these 6 elements to examine whether your story is good enough or not. And it's quite useful about this. So let's go into the next talk. It's about script. Script actually has 2 forms of script, and basically, if you are there's the 2 forms of script. There are word by word and outline script. And I believe that when you're preparing for a report, a group report inside your 通识课程, then you will use simply outline script. The only thing you need to know is what you are going to say. And the slide you already prepared, and then you go on the stage and try to say. You won't write down the script word by word. But if you are going to have a Toastmasters meeting, unless you are pretty good at English speaking or otherwise, mostly we will write down the script word by word. So there are actually pros and cons between these 2. So which one is better? I personally recommend that if you are not a native speaker, I will recommend word by word script. But it also has the negative, the disadvantage of this. So let's see. Word by word script is actually first presented in a document form, and it is logical. But sometimes word by word script is not that suitable for speaking. You know, speaking is what I'm going to say to you. So it is one-way trip. So after I said this, and you listen, and we won't go back and listen to that again. But if you are reading something and you don't know that, you can go into the previous paragraph, read again, and if you don't understand, just read another time, and you will eventually turn out, oh, maybe the meaning is something like that. So when we are actually write down the script word by word, sometimes we will make the sentence not suitable for speaking. So how to solve this? And then I will introduce the reading practice. So how do we read the script, word by word script, as if we are saying that? So this is what I'm going to introduce. And if we are going to use the outline form script, then first we often develop them into the mind map. Is anyone here seen mind map? It's the central idea and the first idea and the second idea and the third idea, mind map. And the outline form is actually can show your creativity. You can say, oh, okay, I'm going to have SGD1 today, and I can use Steve Jobs' video, and I can introduce Bill to a stage, and maybe Joey also, and Tina also, and maybe I can bring everyone to Starbucks, and Joey will pay for the Starbucks coffee, and etc. So it is an outline form script, but sometimes it is inaccurate. So okay, I finished all these outline form script. So what? So I take this on the stage and I see every idea I have ever gone through, and actually it is a very rough idea. So okay, asking Joey to buy everybody a Starbucks coffee. How do I say that? So I will say, I just see the script and say, so today Joey is going to buy everybody a Starbucks coffee. So do you like that?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, thanks. So this kind of form, maybe you will find out that actually you will finish all the paragraph or all the idea you said in one word. So that words, okay, I finished. So going through, and you will find out that your script is actually shorter than you thought. Or when you write down an item, that means, okay, I'm going to introduce the global warming. And then when you see the item, you find out that actually you need to finish for a whole day's lecture. Global warming starts from the ice breaking, the ice breaking in the North Pole, and this summer the temperature is getting high and the CO2 is accumulated and blah blah blah. You find out that a single idea is actually a mixture of a lot of ideas. So inaccuracy is a very big disadvantage of a outline form script. So how to do this? We often solve this in the partial script, which means that when we are telling something we were already familiar with, we only write down the outlines. But when we are going to introduce something that really it has to be very accurate, then we actually write down the script of that part. So when I was a president and I go on the stage, when I am doing some announcements, I will write down the partial script, and when it comes to something I don't familiar with or has to be very accurate, for example, the time. The meeting is going to, the freshman club is going to held in 11 months.
November
or October?
October 18th.
October 18th. So if I didn't write down that accurate information on the script, then I won't say anything about this. So it is a correction for outline script. And here today we're usually getting more and more familiar with the visual aids. So this is visual aids. The PowerPoint, the keynotes, or the Prezi, or anything you like to show on the screen is called the visual aids. And the visual aids, it is convenient. And we might finish our script in a slide form. And it is direct. And once you finish, you are already ready to go on the stage. But its disadvantage is it is easily to get into a situation and you are actually reading the slide. Why is that? It's because the first thing you are storing you write down your ideas is actually on this slide. So you are afraid that you are going to lose the details. So you actually write every details on the slide. And that is bad. Because actually you see this much faster than I talk. So if you write everything on the slide, why don't we just give you all the handouts and we just skip this meeting? So reading the slide is not that good. So how to do this? We're trying to visualize the thing. We visualize the concept, and the picture will tell us much things that the words cannot convey. So this is something we are going to deal with the visual aids. And in practical use, actually Toastmasters meeting is a very specific form of presentation. We're doing the speeches on the stage. But when you go outside the conference meeting or the meeting inside your class, you need to use all the mixtures of this.